and then everybody can pop off that little window. So has everyone, let me start with this question. Who has knit a sweater before? Okay, so there's some of you, Wynette, Shar, and Cheryl, looks like you haven't, but Deb and Carol and Ruth, okay, have knit sweaters before. And
well, I would say one sweater.
One sweater, okay.
100 years ago.
Okay, well, this is a great one to start with. We're sort of, I think it's a real thing where people, they'll knit shawls and scarves and maybe even hats, and they're a little bit like scared to knit an actual sweater in the round. So this is a really great place to start. Sorry, I'm connecting someone else in here. Let's see, I can't turn my video on or the stream becomes garbled. Okay, well, I'll be watching the chat, Linda. So if you have any questions or have anything to say, I will be here. So how many have cast on already?
A little.
Okay, a couple. Okay, a couple cast on. What cast on method did you use?
I'm just using a regular long tail cast on.
Regular long tail, and yeah, everybody used the regular long tail. Okay, and that's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to show you a little later on today. I want to show you the twisted German, or the German twisted cast on. Has anyone heard of that or done that? That's
I think
one
I
want.
saw a video about it the other day, and it seemed like it would make my head explode. So I thought I better just stick to something I knew.
It's much easier than you might think, to be honest. It's not as hard as you might think. It's kind of like a little dance. And so I'll just show you if you're interested. Yeah, and Cheryl tried it on a hat and it worked really well. Yeah, it's really nice for hats when you want just a little bit of give around the edge. And I'll show you in a minute. I'll switch to the other camera and show you in a minute. So first of all, before I get started showing you the cast on, does anyone have any questions about sizing or anything? Like, you all know what size? You don't have any problems with choosing the correct size?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. All right, very good. Well, then let's switch the camera and I will show you the German twisted cast on. Even if you've already cast on, it's okay. You might want to have it in your hip pocket for the next time. Wait, what happened? Switch camera. It's not switching the camera. It's doing it while I got. Huh.
Yeah, we're seeing your sweater now.
Oh, now you see the camera. Okay, it just took a minute to do it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is how far I am on the sweater, and I can show you just a little bit of give. I mean, there's a little bit of give anyway because of the fact that we have, a little ribbing. Cotton thread, cotton fiber has is a little bit stiff. It doesn't have give. It's more like a piece of string than wool is. Usually wool has a little bit of give, or even any other natural fiber. But cotton is very stiff. So you can see here, I did the German twisted cast on, and it gives me just a little bit of give here at the bottom. I didn't want a ton because after all, I don't want it what's the word? I don't want it stretching out at the bottom. I don't want it bagging at the bottom. So does anyone have any trouble, or I'll just go ahead and show if anyone has any trouble with the how to assess how much thread or yarn you need before you do the either long tail or German twisted cast on.
I'd be interested to see how you do your estimate, because I've tried a couple of ways and almost always seem to end up with about 95 extra feet at the end, no matter how much I calculate. I think I finally got it right now, but I'd just be interested to see how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, is that better? Everyone can see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I do, and especially for this one, I mean, I cast on 240 stitches and it goes up from there. So it, you know, that's a lot of stitches to estimate. Oh, here's Kathy. That's a lot of stitches to estimate to, you know how much tail to leave. So this is what I do. I take a needle, the size of the needle that I'm going to be knitting with, and I wrap it around 10 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I wrap it around 10 times, and then I leave a little bit of extra, you know, just to make sure that I have plenty. I take it out, and then you can just start measuring like this. Here's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then when I got to 50, I let go of everything and I got to the end of that, which would be 100, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do the same thing again, and you've got 200. You can kind of see, do you see how it kind of works from there?
Yeah, makes sense.
I always, especially when casting on so many stitches, I always leave, you know, make sure it's enough. If it's a little bit too much, then I deal with it. I either roll it up onto a little piece of cardboard or something and just leave it there, or I'll even trim it a little bit shorter if needs be. I would rather waste just a few feet than cast on 250, 60 stitches all over again.
All right.
You know, I want to go back to something else. Did everybody knit a swatch before? Let me flip this back, the camera back. Did everybody knit a swatch before?
Yes, I did.
You knit a swatch, and your swatch came out okay with the size 9 needles?
It did. I was surprised. Normally I have to go up a size, but this one came out just about real close. So I'm going with it.
Real close. Okay. Okay. I actually had some trouble. I thought it came out, you know, kind of on the edge okay, and I started knitting, and I ended up having to go down a size. I do knit a little bit loose, and so I had a tendency to. I went down a size, and I like the fabric that it made this time around with a little bit tighter. I found that if the fabric was a little bit too loose, it started looking kind of sloppy. This kind of pulled it down to a more, I don't know, a better fabric, something that I liked better. So that I wanted to mention that. Okay, let's go back. All right, so when you get the tail that you want, you put the tail in front. Oh, let's see. Do you know if the sizing of this sweater runs normal or large? I would guess it runs a little bit large because I also knit the size down. So I chose, you know, I was kind of on the cusp. I was kind of in the middle, and I chose, I went with a small instead of a medium again, just like I did with the Seven Sisters. You put the yarn connected to the ball in front of you, and the tail is to the towards you. And does everybody know how to make a slingshot? Slingshot in your hands. And then you can make a slip knot, but I like to just come up underneath You go underneath the loop on your thumb, down through the loop on your thumb, over the loop on your finger, and down through the loop on your thumb again. Under both loops, under the entire loop, down through the center of the loop on your thumb, back behind, back down, and snug it up. I'm going to do this just a couple more times, and then I will put a link to, it's actually somebody else because I haven't taped this yet, but showing you how in slow motion. Under both loops, down through the loop, catch behind the thread on your forefinger, and then just go down through that loop again and pull the yarn up snug. I don't pull it up too snugly. I want it to, to slide down through the loop, back behind, and down. And that, you can see there's just a little bit of extra yarn there. It's a little bit thick, and that's what gives you just a little bit of extra yarn that then gives you this give at the bottom of the sweater. Now, if this were wool yarn or something that stretches normally and wasn't such a stiff cotton yarn, or such a unstretchy cotton yarn, I would have just done the regular long tail cast on. Oh, that's the German twisted cast on, and here's a link to a great example how to do that.
Okie dokie.
So you can practice with that later on. Any questions?
So far.
No questions. Last time there were so many questions, and this time no questions.
I'm just
Okay.
curious. Oh, I was curious to see if anyone else has had to go down. I've done, this is my third swatch. I'm down 2 needle sizes, and I'm usually a tight knitter. I went down 2 needle sizes on the Seven Sisters too, so I'm beginning to think it's their patterns and my knitting, and it came out perfect. But
yeah, or this particular designer, that's possible that it's this particular designer. Yes. And that, I'm sorry, I don't know. This is the second pattern that I've knit of hers, so I'm not sure, Kathy. But it could be. I think you hopped on after I had said that I went down 1 needle size to get the fabric that I wanted. And then I also, just like I did with the Seven Sisters, I made the size smaller.
okay.
Normally I would have probably gone with a medium, but I went down to a small. And this is, what I did was I started, what did I start? I can't remember what I started with, but whatever I started with, I knit maybe 2 or 3 inches. And then I put it on a longer cable. I took the needle off, connected my cable on with the cable joiner, put a long cable on, stretched it out to where, and laid it down. I didn't stretch you don't want to stretch the rib like that. You want to make sure it's relaxed when you lay it down, and measured it, and it was way too big for me. So, somebody emailed me the other day and said, they went anyway, whatever they did, and it was just huge. They finished the whole sweater and it's just huge. Well, it was a sweater that they were knitting in pieces. So what you always want to do is you can see at the very end of the pattern, there's a schematic. So you want to take this schematic, and before you've knit the whole sweater, you can knit just portions of it, you know, a little bit of it, and kind of see how it's turning out. And if you see that, you know, you're getting it way bigger or way smaller or whatever, it's off, then you can stop and take it out when you have this much rather than when you've finished the whole sweater. I ended up knitting this a couple of times, taking it out a couple of times, because the last time, or not the last time, but the time before last that I did it, I managed to make a Mobius strip out of it.
Oops.
I knit like this much of it, and oh my goodness. Anyway, so I went, okay, there's nothing to do but to take it all out. By the way, if you're only 1 or 2 rows in and you noticed that you've made you've twisted the join, you can flip it and you'll probably be okay at that point. Just maybe 1 row in, you can just flip it over and you'll be all right. That's just something to keep in mind, so you don't have to take it all out and recast on all over again, because that's, I like the idea of, yeah, using a longer. Oh, that's right, Rachel, because you ended up, your last one was too big, right? Your 7 sisters? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was way too big. So this time I went a size down. So I'm doing the medium. Also the yarn is different. So I have a feeling maybe it won't extend too much when I block it. So we'll see, but I'm not sure, like I'm a loose knitter. So I'm using the size 9, and like you said, maybe, you know, like I'm not sure if it's going to be too
Let me see the fabric. Let me make you, let me make you bigger so I can see. Yeah, personally, I think that's how mine was turning out, and that's why I went down a size. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think,
because I'm a loose
but this
knitter
is
too.
Yes. So do you think I could use this as the ribbing and then go down, or should I just start over?
You need to start over.
I have maybe, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
It's better to start now then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better to
That's
start
okay.
now than to, I mean, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're kind of talking through it. The
Exactly.
learning how to figure out the sizing, you know, that's really one of the biggest parts of the whole of knitting garments. If you're not just knitting a scarf or something, you know, that doesn't have fitting to it, this is one of the biggest things to learn is sizing, and if you're on the right track and all of that. So, and that comes with experience. So you're doing fabulous, Rachel. I mean, you just started knitting a year ago, so it's incredible. Good job. Good job.
Yes, and I just love it.
Oh, it's so great. Did you all see the was it the Michelle Obama talking about how she taught herself how to knit during COVID, and she's just, you know, and how much she treasures it as you know, calming her down and the whole, yeah, it's really good. Okay, yeah, I know what else I wanted to say, and that is blocking and blocking cotton. Will size be larger with wool yarn? Let me talk about the blocking, and then I'm going to come back to that question just so I don't forget. I don't know if all of you are in the Facebook group, but if you aren't already, it's really fun to hop in there, because people post after the knit-alongs, they post their finished products and their finished scarves and or garments, and they model them and stuff. And so it's a lot of fun to see. And I noticed one lady, it was great. She posted it, she put it on and she wore it unblocked. And then she posted another post and wore it blocked. And you can see the difference. And now this was cotton yarn because it was the 7 Sisters top. And you can absolutely see the difference. It's subtle, but you can see the difference, and it just looks more professional, just a little sharper, and just it kind of gets all the stitches relaxed. It cleans the yarn from, I mean, mine gets dropped on the floor sometimes, or, you know, stuff happens, and so it gets things all nice and fresh and clean. It just really looks a little nicer if it's blocked. Now, blocking cotton yarn can be tricky in that, you know, a lot of times with wool, you soak it, right? And then you pin it, you know, it gets drenched, and then you pin it out on the board, and you maybe kind of tug and stretch and whatever, and then it locks in. Cotton reacts a little bit differently. And personally, I would start first with just a steam block. Pin it to the board to the size that you want it, to the measurements that you want it. Put a damp cloth over it, just maybe a thin rag of some kind, a thin, maybe a thin old dish towel or something that you know, you're using, and put it over it, and then hold your iron on full steam, you know, a half an inch or so off of it. Keep it steaming. Mine has a big steam push on it, so I'll, you know, push it, or I'll use my clothes steamer. That you can use that as well. And then just go over it and make sure it gets, you know, hot steam everywhere, and then let it be and let it dry for, you know, 24 hours. It'll be nice and dry. And I would start with that. And as long as that works, I wouldn't go any farther to doing major blocking. Now, of course, you're going to want to wash it. So when you wash it, I would wash it carefully and be, you know, mindful not to stretch it when you wash it, because cotton can stretch and bag and, you know, make your garment unwearable. So it's just something to watch for. Okay, now, Deb, your question, let me look again. Will size be larger with wool yarn? Explain to me what you mean. We can't hear. Oh, you're
Yeah, I was trying to unmute. Just wondering if you've noticed the difference between wool yarn and cotton. I don't really like knitting with cotton, and I had stash yarn, so I thought I would try it. The gauge seems right with a 9.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, it won't. As long as the gauge is right, you'll be fine. You'll be
I was
fine.
just a little nervous because people were sizing down. So,
As long as your gauge is right, and as long as, do you have some knit?
yeah, I have a little bit, just a couple rows. I don't know if you can really see it.
Yeah, I would maybe knit a couple more, you know, get maybe an inch, inch and a half, and then I would lay it out so that you can measure it and just make sure.
Okay.
Compare it with the schematic and compare it with what you think you're going to want. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I was looking. Well, first of all, does anybody else have any other questions before we move on?
Nope.
Nope, no more questions. Okay, I was looking on in the pattern, and I wanted to talk, does everybody know how to put stitches? Because I'm afraid you might get to this point before our next, some of you speed knitters, before our next meeting, you might get up to the point to putting some of the stitches onto another holder. Has everyone done that? I know you have, Kathy, Rachel, you have.
I have, to some extent.
Yeah, everybody knows how to do that. Let me go through again.
Right here.
Yeah, oh, good. I
Yep.
wanted to go through again. I know I did this last time, but just in case, there's somebody that didn't see it. I wanted to show you again what I do when I have a long amount. This is just a short cable, but I just take another cable from my interchangeable needle set, put a needle on it, and you know, the needles that I'm supposed to take off, put it through and take off all the stitches, and then put another stopper on the end. Your interchangeable needle
Oh.
set comes with these stoppers,
Uh-huh.
and they are perfect for anyway, for holding long, you know, like if you use a 24 or a 32-inch cable, they'll hold large amounts of yarn as you're knitting something else. Now for sleeves and such, and when you get up to the shoulders, they want you to put half the stitches on for knitting the right shoulder and half for the left shoulder. And I just use one of these. These are made by Clover. And I think I got the 2 of them. They come in a pack of 2, and I think they were, I don't know, they were $7 or something on Amazon. And I just scoot the stitches off, and then down through the hole, pull it through, and we've got a closed stitches held. So for small amount of
Ooh.
stitches, I like to use this. And if I have a lot of stitches, I use a long cable and use the cable from my interchangeable needles.
Uh-huh. Good idea. Wouldn't have thought of that.
So that's just a
Do you
a
have the
little
name
tip.
of the? Yeah. Sorry, Pamela.
these-
Do you have the
these?
name of this tool? Yeah.
What were they just stitch holders? Let me look. I can probably even get the
I'll try to find it.
yeah, here they are right here. I'll give you the link. Oh yeah, they're $6.62. Can't beat that.
Get the commission.
No. Yeah, I really love them.
Oh, I see them. Yep.
Yeah. So that's that. I'm looking forward in the pattern to see if there's anything else, but I mean, this is going to be so easy. When you get up to this part of the pattern, when you get up to the chest area, you're going to switch into a purl 1 knit 2. So your ribbing kind of changes and gives you just a little bit of a different texture at the top and on the sleeves. So that's lovely. And then next time we'll probably talk about picking up stitches again, in case that's something that you've not done. But if nobody has any other questions, then we'll actually spend the rest of our time knitting along. We can just knit together, and if anybody has any thoughts or things that come up or wants to tell us what fun thing they're going to do today after they're done.
I do fun things. It's always knitting.
I have a question actually.
Yes, Rachel.
So when you read, when you knit in the round, right? So your right side is the one outside, right, facing you, and inside is the wrong side and the inside of the sweater. But it looks like when I look at the pattern, it kind of feels if like the inside is more what I'm wondering if I'm not in the wrong.
No, you see,
I'm
this is
wondering
my
if
wrong side.
the inside.
This is my
Oh,
wrong side.
I try to just one
Oh, here.
second. I'll try to
Oh, no, I'll make
spotlight
it big.
you for me or something.
No, I'll just
Yeah,
spotlight.
I guess I can do that. Okay, good. Yeah, now I see you. Okay,
That's the red
so
side.
this is sorry. Hold on. So this is what you're showing me right now is the inside, the wrong
Yes.
side.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the
And
right
then
side.
Okay, okay. So that's then I'm fine.
Yeah.
I had the same
Okay.
thought, actually, Rachel. After I knit my swatch, I had the same thought that the inside sort of looked prettier, if you might, than the outside. But so I understand what you're saying.
Well, if you like the quotes wrong side, how would you do that? I
But
don't
then the
know.
wrong side will become the right side, I guess, when we go at the top.
Yeah, because you're going to do the opposite kind of knitting. Yeah.
Right.
And it seems to me that the bottom is tighter than, like, we can see through maybe a little more at the top and the sleeve. So that's why I'm thinking that the inside is tighter and should be the right side. From when I look at the pattern.
No, I know what you're saying, but
I guess I should maybe try a couple rows on the other pattern to see how it's gonna look.
I mean, unless this pattern is wrong, which I can't imagine it is. I mean, this is not a new pattern on Blue Sky Fibers.
But you know what I
No.
mean? It looks like the
No,
bottom.
it's correct this way. Let me
Like,
show you. Let me show you something. I know what you're saying, but I
think in the picture it looks more mesh-like than the body.
the top, eh?
I think it's at least in the photograph, I noticed that. So I'm kind of thinking the same. I hadn't looked ahead to see how you changed it, but it did look more open to me than this one.
well, remember too, Rachel,
So that's why,
yours
sorry.
looks extra open because yours is really kind of loose, just like mine was.
Yes, but then if I compare the inside to the outside, and if it's going to be the opposite for the top, my outside right now is more open. Therefore, we can see through more, I think. So then that should be the top part of the sweater. I don't know. I think I need to do another swatch with, but this time with the two types of knitting to make sure that it actually looks like that's what I think, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, when I look at the picture at the bottom, I do not see two knit stitches. I only see rows of one knit stitch. Can you see? That's, where is it?
Yeah.
That's only one stitch.
Yeah.
That's not two knit stitches.
And what's like high raised is the purl, right?
The purl is
Well,
these are the knit stitches. See, there's one row of knit stitches.
yeah.
Just one. I mean, we're doing it according to the pattern.
Yeah.
The only thing
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be if they knit the sample different than the pattern, which would be something. I mean, patterns are wrong sometimes. I get that, but this is not a new pattern. I can't imagine that, you know, there's anything wrong with it.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
I'm gonna
Yes.
try. Yeah, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna sample it.
So when we do the like row 2, it says wrong side. We're not continuing to knit in the round the same direction, correct? You do the inside then, right?
That's right. You see under that section of the pattern, it says begin working in rows. So you're
Yeah.
no
Yes.
longer working in the
Oh, so you're
round, then you're
flipping it.
going
Okay, that's
back
what I
and
thought
forth.
that meant, but I
Right.
just want to double check. Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, when you get up to 14 and a half inches.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm confident that this is the way it's written, the way that it's shown. And even if it's not written the way that it's shown, I'm still knitting it the way the pattern says. I'm confident that things are. I'm not going to go off the reservation at this and go off and do different things right now. Yeah, I no. The pattern is right.
I would believe you.
Yeah, the pattern is right, because I cannot see the and Rachel, if you want to knit that swatch for the other one right now, that's great, because then you'll be able to see what it'll look like when you switch. Yeah, but no matter what it looks like, it's going to look different and it's going to look good. You know, it will be different than the bottom and it will look good. So, and meanwhile, I can send a message to the to Blue Sky Fibers, who are the ones that sell me the pattern, and just to double check that nobody's had any questions about it. But I think we're all good.
It just looks nicer inside. I don't know.
Well,
But
maybe
that's me.
That's what you like, but I know that this inside here, let me put myself back on spotlight. There is no way that this inside right here is that one row that, on the picture. You know what I mean? This doesn't look like.
Right, if she meant it to look that way, she would have written the pattern differently, I'm sure.
Right, yeah, because there's one stitch that goes up, one knit stitch that goes up. There's not a panel of knit stitches like this right here.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, if you like this better, and I think the part of the reason, Rachel, that you like this better is because it's so loose. You know, you need to go down at least a needle size. And I think that's part of the reason why, because I didn't like the fabric either when I knit it too big. I had to go down, and that's why I did go down, is because I went, no, not liking it. And then as soon as I went down, now I like it. And when I block it, you know, I can block it so that it's not, you know, I'm not going to block it like this. You know what I mean? I'm not going to stretch it out and block it. I'm going to make sure that it's scrunched in when I block it. Does that make sense? Because if I block it, if I stretch it and block it, the thing's going to be too big and it's going to look weird. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I ended up with size 5 needles and it pulled my stitches in nice and tight. And this, okay. Oh, let me spotlight you, Ruth, here. Oh, we can't really see. I think the light's
Is it
behind
size
you.
5 or 5 millimeter?
No, 5 needle. I
US
kept
size 5.
watching because the 7 sisters, it turned out 3 sizes too big for me. I could have fit 2 people in there. So I figured I'm
Same
just
here.
gonna
So maybe I should
try
do like you.
small. And I liked the way the stitching came out tighter, but I tried the measurement on the bottom and it equaled the waist measurement that it should have. I can't recall what it was exactly, but it all turned out right.
Yeah, yours looks nicer than mine for sure. Like
But I
tighter and
started with the
nice.
bigger needles as well, and I just didn't care for it, and it was just so loose and baggy that I kept pulling it in, and each time I must have ripped it out like 5 times until I got it to where I liked it. And it does fit around the waist, and I keep losing weight, so that don't help.
Oh.
Don't start a diet when you make a sweater. Not a good idea.
Well, if you're trying to lose weight, congratulations.
Thank you. 58 pounds.
Wow. That's not easy. I just
No.
recently lost a whole bunch of weight and wasn't meaning to the hard way. And
Oh.
so
How
it's
are
not,
you feeling after your surgery?
I'm back. I'm still weak. Like last night, it's like I work a day and it's like I should be able to work for a couple more hours, you know. I should be able to
Oh,
after dinner go back and work for a couple more hours, and I can't anymore. So,
no.
but
Rest
thank
is
you for
the
asking.
key. Thank you for
I,
everything you do.
oh, absolutely. It's trust me, it's my pleasure. I'm just having the time of my life, and yeah, for the first time in quite a while, I feel really strong and healthy.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah.
It only gets better.
That's right. And I'm learning to take care of myself better. You know, I don't know if you guys are the same way. I was talking to my daughter, and evidently I've passed the same gene down to her, because I told her, I said, it's like, I like that oh, what's the word, that endorphin feeling of accomplishment. And so it's like push, push, push. And then pretty soon I'm like prostrate. I can't move. And then that's not good for the long run. So we talk about how, and especially when you work in
Yes.
your own home, no matter what you're doing, if you're working in your own home, it's so easy to just keep working, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm learning. You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
So yeah, having so much. What's the weather like? Wynette, you were the one in New York, correct? No, who was in New York again? Oh, Ruth. What's the
It's
weather like there?
beautiful. I think it was 70 today.
Wow, that's
78.
warmer
I
than we
lied.
are.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Nice little
Right.
breeze. I was sitting
Right,
outside
83.
working. Oh, where are you?
I'm in Tulsa.
Oh,
Tulsa.
beautiful.
And we've had 90 already.
Oh, no, thank you. That's why
So,
I'm up north.
stay in the house to give you more time to knit.
True, true. I love being in the garden though.
Do you think this is it for you then, Wynette? Is it going to be summer from here on out?
Maybe, yes,
Oh.
maybe. We've had storms every night for the last 3 nights. A couple places near here have been hit by tornadoes twice in 2 weeks. Yes. So once May's over, I think it'll be okay. It'll just be hot.
Do you have a place to go in case of a tornado? Do you have a cellar or?
No, hardly anyone has cellars here. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, so it's totally different. It's because of the rock and the sand, and they don't have those. But my daughter and I talked about it last night again, which room was the best room to go to. So just need to stay away from an outside wall and do the best you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bathroom or a tub or something.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
After you put the cat in the holder.
Yeah. you know, I had just moved to where I'm living now, and I say just, maybe a year and a half or so. And for some reason, I didn't have a cat carrier anymore. I don't know exactly, I'd probably tossed it when I moved, and then never replaced it. And I have a totally indoor cat. And when we had the Thomas fire, come through here, and it literally, we went out and we stood on the porch, and it was coming over the hill, and we're just in the little valley below at the bottom of the hill. And we saw it coming down the hill, and we went, uh-oh, we gotta go. And we didn't have a cat carrier. So yeah, it's a good thing to think of.
Right.
We now have a cat carrier, which has never been taken out or used in the last 4 years or 5 years.
Well, my cat is a little strange in that she will go and get in the cat carrier. No, she's just a little weird.
Wow.
Mhm.
You mean just
That
like if
is
you leave it out,
unusual.
she'll just hop
Yep.
in?
She'll just go and get in. And I know that I had it in the bathroom one time, and when I got ready to take it out, she just looked at me, so I left it in there. But she'll go in and go and when, especially when the weather's bad. So
She likes that cozy feeling.
right, but she's not good otherwise. Okay, she's a little hellion, so not little. She doesn't know she's a cat.
She thinks she's a human.
I found her when she was 3 weeks old.
Oh.
And she's now, I think she's about 8 years old now. So bottle
You know
fed her.
what? Yeah, you know what? My daughter bottle fed a cat, and she was the, excuse my French, bitchiest cat. Just and she didn't know for years and years and years. She didn't know. We just thought the cat's name was Caprica, and we just thought Caprica was just a nasty cat, you know. I mean, she was sweet to Jessie and everything, but anybody else come along, and she was horrible. And then Jessie went to a vet once that finally said, "Oh, the bottle fed ones are the worst."
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we bottle fed. She was just, I could fit her in my hand. That's it. And I bottle fed her. I even taught her how to use the kitty litter. Yeah, you warm cotton balls and rub it near them and then put them in a kitty litter box. So
Because the mama licks them.
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a little weird, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, they're special. They're special. My daughter had to put hers down within the last couple of years, and it's just
I know.
she's not over it yet.
The one that I had before this one suffered from separation anxiety. And she was in the vet and got something, and she was a rag doll for anybody that knows rag dolls. Yeah. But anyhow, when you ask about this knitting a sweater, I knitted a half of one, and then COVID came. And I was taking a class and they stopped. Okay. I keep telling my daughter, I said, we need to pick that back up again. I still haven't taken it apart, but I think maybe I could pick it up again. So,
yeah. Well, maybe, you know, you have a few more, you know, you knit this
Right.
sweater and you kind of,
Right.
you pick up another skill, and
Yeah.
then every pattern you get, you sometimes pick up a little skill. And
yeah, it was much more difficult than what this looks like. Plus, it was a cardigan.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to do a cardigan someday.
Yep.
Here too. Yeah, there's some really lovely ones. I was kind of trying to do things that were accessible to people, and also patterns that are wearable. You know what I mean? Something that you don't feel like, oh, I'm wearing something hand knit. I know. Oh, excuse me one second. I wore a little scarf, my Cape Town crochet scarf, to dinner the other night with my cousin, and said something about, or I don't know, somebody said something about, well, you know, this is a scarf she has in her shop or something like that. And he looked and he went, oh, he goes, that doesn't, I know, he kind of stopped himself because he didn't want to say anything, you know, hurtful to me, but it was kind of like, well, that doesn't look like a hand knit thing. In other words, like a grandma hand knit thing. And I know that's what he kind of meant, you know. And my point is hand knit things, if you're careful, they don't have to look like some little hand knit thing, you know. They can look professional and just special. And so that's what I kind of try to do when I look for designs, is to find things that when you wear them, everybody won't say, oh, you know, you must have made that. Well, how nice that you did that.
Yes, in that, oh dear, I'm so sorry for you kind of a voice.
It'll just look, you know, really special and high end, like somebody really took a lot of time with it. I know, Kathy, how many times have you worn that beautiful yellow dress that you knit several years ago?
None.
No, that's so beautiful.
I keep intending to wear it like when we go to the theater or something. So it's in the back of my head now. I did wear just yesterday, I made a top. I think it's one of your kits. It was like it was a cotton yarn, and it was variegated blues, oranges, and whatnot. And it just had kind of a cap sleeve, and it was an open work up here around the neck. And I wore that yesterday to work, and everybody that came in said, "That is gorgeous. Did you make that?" So I got the opposite. It was like, doggone it, you make some nice stuff. So,
Because you do.
but yeah, but the problem with that is I had not blocked it because it had a nice shape, and I think it grew all day.
Oh,
Whoops.
was it cotton?
Yes. And so I am going to soak it and try to get it to draw back in and then block it.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Because
yeah. Let me know how that goes. I'm curious. I'm curious. This doesn't sound familiar to me. I'm curious if it's one of our kits, but it doesn't sound familiar. I'm blanking.
I'll have to look at my patterns and see if I can find the name of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Because
90.
I
It
go
is.
ahead. But
I said I'm 99% sure that it was from you because
was
99%
it okay?
what I do is from you.
Oh, was it the linen one? Was it the no, never mind. I won't try to guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look.
Yeah. What about the Dorothea tank? Have you knit that yet?
Yeah, I made one for me, and then you just sent
Mhm.
me the new kit, and I sent mine to my sister to try on because she just could not decide on a size. And I said, okay, here, I'm just going to send you mine. Tell me how much smaller you want it around and how much shorter you want it. And that was the perfect way to do it.
Oh,
So
that's great.
I'm getting ready. I just wound all the skeins the other day, and I'm getting ready to do that for her birthday.
Oh, that's so sweet. What a nice gift, you know. What a really sweet gift.
I wanted to say it. Oh, sorry. I wanted to say I offered the little Amelia sweater to the little baby in our family this past weekend. I was on the East Coast, and they were so happy. So,
Oh,
so that's cute. And then they keep asking me. It's funny because I started last summer. Well, it's just started a year ago to knit. So last summer I offered a baby um um a baby a blanket, and then I keep like trying new things, and then they ask. It's actually the baby is somebody, it's the sister of my son's girlfriend, so they keep asking, oh, so when is the new order coming in? And so they keep asking to get
oh,
new stuff, so that's good.
yeah. Did you get
So
the
to
did
knit
you get the
more
Bella
like
blanket?
the
Is that
book.
what you're telling? I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead,
did
Rachel.
know it was a different blanket at the beginning, but I just gave them the Amelia sweater. But then with this came the book also, so I can knit other things. So they keep asking for more, so
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're
they'll keep
so
me busy.
cute. Yeah, those are just some really darling designs in there. Yeah. And that chow yarn, oh my goodness, I just love it. If you haven't knitted chow. And thank you, Ruth. Um, yeah, I try to carry just really nice high-end yarns that, you put a lot of time and energy into knitting, that's hours and hours. And I know it's partly the joy of doing it, but when you're done, it's nice to have something that will last I mean, it'll last for years and years. And to me, they're heirlooms, they're something that people will um, pass down, especially if they're baby sweaters. I still have a baby. My mom knitted, and at one time she had a knitting machine, and evidently it was before I was born because I have at least one of the sweaters that she knit me on a knitting machine. still. It's really, really pretty. It had a little detachable, I don't think I have this anymore, but it had a little detachable fur collar on it. It was really cute. But I mean, it's an heirloom. I've always had it, you know.
I'm hoping to get to that point where I can make something that I'm proud of, since I used to knit a very long time ago, and it's been a very long time since I knitted. It's been 20 or 30 years since I knitted anything. And then last fall, for whatever reason, I saw a kit for a pillow, and it looked like it was nicely simple. And I thought, I haven't knit anything in a while. Let me try that. So I got it and I made it, and I thought, I forgot how much I like knitting. I forgot how much I enjoy this. So now I've just lost my mind completely. And I have this whole room full of yarn and all these patterns to make that I'll probably be doing until I'm dead. But, again, it's just been a really long time. So I'm having to relearn everything and just get comfortable with it again and do things that I haven't ever done before. It's my first time. I'm working on a sweater that has cables in it. And I know cables aren't hard, but it's, the first time I've ever done cables. So, okay, I knit a shawl earlier this year that was knit from a chart. Never knit from a chart before, did that. So yes, us old dogs can learn new tricks.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that eventually it'll get to the point where, well, the shawl I thought came out really well. I'm hoping that the sweater is going to come out well. And I have the Dorothea tank to make as well. I haven't got around to that one yet either. Like I said, I've lost my mind and I have more projects than I have time to do them. But I'm anxious to at least try. Let's put it that way.
Oh, absolutely. And you're just describing something that I tell people all the time, and that is there's really nothing that's that hard about anything. It's just a matter of learning. If there's a technique that you don't know, then I mean, we live in a time when there's all the instruction online that we can want, and we can
Yes.
find out how to do it, and then we just learn how to do that, and then it's like, oh, well, that's not hard. Even like the casting on that I did at the beginning, it can look confusing. I understand that, but trust me, you do it 4 or 5 times or 10 times, maybe even, just do it, and then you'll go, oh, I get that, that's not hard. It all becomes easy.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And I have, thank God for YouTube, because if I was doing this 30 years ago, I'd be just sitting here frustrated because I wouldn't know how to do something. And now it's just like, Google it. It makes it so simple. I found a tutorial for anything I wasn't sure about. I could look it up. I could watch it in slow motion until I figured it out. And it's really been helpful because I've been able to keep on going. Even if I didn't know how to do something, I didn't have to wait very long to learn. And it's been great. So yeah, thank you, modern technology.
Exactly. Yeah. Just fantastic. Just fantastic. Well, does anyone have any other questions? Anything they'd like to add before we break for a couple of weeks?
I kind of have an odd question. We will be traveling internationally this summer. And Rachel, I know you're going back to France. What are the airlines restrictions for flying with knitting needles? Does anyone know what the latest is?
Last time I checked, there weren't any.
So I
Depends.
yeah, well, I think it depends. I just came back from Canada, actually. I landed a few hours ago, like like in the early morning today, and I was traveling with my interchangeable needles, so there was no issue. Like those, and I was ready to just unscrew if there was something. So I have a feeling it might be harder if you have like the long straight needles.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to try this summer. So when I'm moving in August, I'll be doing US, Canada, and then Canada, France. And I'm hoping the interchangeable will be fine. And for scissors, I just bought the collapsible scissors. So they are very bad scissors, but but
Yeah.
at least like they're rounder. It's not like sharp scissors. So,
Right.
and then the other stuff goes into the checked baggage. But I think I'm hoping that the interchangeable will be fine, but I don't know if anybody else maybe flew in your, like Canada is fine, Canada, US is fine, but what about
Okay.
other countries? I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I just traveled through Sweden and I had no problem at all. It depends on the country. The only one I've heard is problem is Egypt. They'll take your needles no matter what.
Is
Egypt and
where?
Mexico.
I'm sorry. Sweden?
Yeah, I was in Sweden and we went all over Sweden and we were there for 3.5 months. So we just got back.
Oh, okay.
And it was not a problem. And we went from Sweden to Amsterdam or from Stockholm to Amsterdam, and that wasn't a problem. I've never been questioned at all. But I have a friend who went to Egypt and they confiscated her needles.
Really? Okay.
But it's good to have the interchangeables. I bought interchangeables for our trip just because.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's
And
helpful.
so that's what you had interchangeable, right?
Yeah, in fact, I just ripped out all my stuff and changed down another size because I didn't like the way it looked.
You
So
know,
yay for interchangeable needles. I was going out and buying needles all the time and I've got so many and never can find them when you need them. No.
yeah, that's true. You know what I do sometimes? I haven't been traveling that much in the last few years, but when I do, I sometimes I just put my knitting on a fixed needle, so if they do take it, it's fine, and I put my interchangeable set in my checked baggage, and that way I won't lose a part of my interchangeable set.
Mm.
Okay.
I've never had one taken either, so but
But then you cannot be knitting in the rounds. I guess you need to have a different project for the flight, right?
well, I do have
There
fixed.
you go.
I use fixed circulars. You can get,
Fixed
circulars.
regular
Oh,
circular.
I see. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess you need to bring a wire in case they take it. You need to take the time to put it. You don't want to lose all your what you did, right? So
Yeah.
if they take
Yeah,
the
that's true
fix
too.
Where are
Oh,
you
boy.
traveling to?
unless they can't.
Scotland.
Oh, that's not a problem. I've been to Scotland without a problem.
Real okay.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going
Well,
usually
have
to
them
it's not.
kind of
too.
in your carry-on and ready to show, maybe.
I mean, I've
I-
never had problem and we usually just take carry-on
Yeah.
a
Okay.
lot. So
That's
That's a
kind of
long
what I'm hearing, but I thought since Rachel was saying she was traveling, that yeah, maybe she knew if you're going back and forth from that area or from England. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
All right.
I am going to be in Vegas at my daughter's in 2 weeks when we have our next little meeting. So I'll be dialing in from another location, and I won't have my setup for camera, but I was looking at the pattern and I don't think there's too much that I need to show you. Otherwise, we'll jury rig it. I'll figure something out there at the other end. But anyway,
all
it was
good.
so lovely seeing all of you and chit-chatting. This is a really special part of my day, and I thank you all again for joining and for sharing my love of knitting with me.
Well, we're happy you hosted us. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
my pleasure. Have a
Take
great
good
day.
care. All
Bye-bye.
right.
Hey, see you in a
Bye.
couple of days.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.